Hey humans, welcome to Read to Me, Matt Dunn. I'm Matt Dunn, and I'm going to read to you. We're reading The Color Out of Space, Part 5, by H.P. Lovecraft. Not Part 5, but you know what I mean. H.P. Lovecraft, The Color Out of Space, Part 5. On the 19th of October, Nene staggered into Amy's house with hideous news. The death had come to poor Thaddeus. The death had come to poor Thaddeus in his attic room, and it had come in a way which could not be told. But I'm going to tell you anyway. Nene had dug a grave in the railed family plot behind the farm, and had put therein what he found. There could have been nothing from outside, for the small barred window and locked door were intact. But it was much as it had been in the barn. Amy and his wife consoled the stricken man as best they could, but shuddered as they did so. Stark terror seemed to cling round the gardeners and all they touched, and the very presence of one in the house was a breath from regions unnamed and unnameable. Amy accompanied Nene home with the greatest reluctance, and did what he might to calm the hysterical sobbing of little Merwin. Zenas, little Zay needed no calming. He had come of late to do nothing but stare into space and obey what his father told him, and Amy thought that this fate was very merciful. Now and then, Merwin's screams were answered faintly from the attic, and in response to an inquiring look, Nene said that his wife was getting very feeble. When night approached, Amy managed to get away, for not even friendship could make him stay in that spot when the faint glow of the vegetation began, and the trees may or may not have swayed without wind. It was very lucky for Amy that he was not more imaginative. Even as things were, his mind was bent ever so slightly. But had he been able to connect and reflect upon all the portents around him, he must inevitably have turned a total maniac. In the twilight he hastened home, the screams of the mad woman and the nervous child ringing horribly in his ears. Horribly. Let's continue some more. 3 days later, Nene lurched into Amy's kitchen in the early morning, and in the absence of his host stammered out a desperate tale once more while Mrs. Pierce listened in a clutching fright. It was little Merwin this time. He was gone. He had gone out late at night with a lantern and pail for water and had never come back. He'd been going to pieces for days and hardly knew what he was about. Screamed at everything. There had been a frantic shriek from the yard then, but before the father could get to the door, the boy was gone. There was no glow from the lantern he had taken, and of the child himself no trace. At the time, Nene thought the lantern and pail were gone too, but when dawn came and the man had plodded back from his all-night search of the woods and field, he had found some very curious things near the well. There was a crushed and apparently somewhat melted mass of iron, which had certainly been the lantern, while a bent bale and twisted iron hoops beside it, both half fused, seemed to hint at the remnants of the pail. That was all. Nene was past imagining. Mrs. Pierce was blank, and Amy was, when he had reached home and heard the tale, could give no guess. Merwin was gone, and there would be no use in telling the people around, who shunned all the gardeners now. No use, either, in telling the city people at Arkham, who laughed at everything. Thad was gone, and now Murney was gone. Something was creeping and waiting to be seen and felt and heard. Nene would go soon, and he wanted Amy to look after his wife and Zenas if they survived him. It must all be a judgment of some sort, though he could not fancy what for, since he had always walked uprightly in the Lord's way so far as he knew. For over 2 weeks, Amy saw nothing of Nene, and then, worried about what might have happened, he overcame his fears and paid the gardener's place a visit. There was no smoke from the great chimney, and for a moment the visitor was apprehensive of the worst. The aspect of the whole farm was shocking. Grayish withered grass and leaves on the ground, vines falling in brittle wreckage from archaic walls and gables, and great bare trees clawing up the gray November sky with a studied malevolence which Amy could not but feel had come from some subtle change in the tilt of the branches. But Nene was alive after all. He was weak and lying on a couch in the low-ceiled kitchen, but perfectly conscious and able to give simple orders to Zenas. The room was deadly cold, and as Amy visibly shivered, the host shouted huskily to Zenas for more wood. Wood, indeed, was sorely needed, since the cavernous fireplace was unlit and empty, with a cloud of soot blowing about in the chill wind that came down the chimney. Presently, Nene asked him if the extra wood had made him any more comfortable, and then Amy saw what had happened. The stoutest cord had broken at last, and the hapless farmer's mind was proof again against more sorrow. Well, I don't know what the fuck Amy saw, but Nene's losing it. Questioning tactfully, Amy could get no clear data at all about the missing Zenas. In the well, he lives in the well. That's what Nene says, was all the clouded father would say. And then there flashed across the visitor's mind a sudden thought of the mad wife, and he changed his line of inquiry. Nabby, where is she? Was the surprised response of poor Nene, and Amy soon saw that he must search for himself. Nabby. Oh, so Nene's asking about this. Nabby, where is she? Here she is. Why, here, Nabby? Oh, okay, I read that wrong. Then there flashed across the visitor's mind, thought of his wife, and he changed the line of inquiry. So Annie, or Arnie, Amy is like, where's your wife? And then this guy is like, Nabby? Why, here she is. So he got to go. Leaving the harmless babbler on the couch, he took the keys from their nail beside the door and climbed the creaking stairs to the attic. Okay. It was very close and noisome up there, and no sound could be heard from any direction. Of the 4 doors in sight, only one was locked, and on this he tried various keys on the ring he had taken. The 3rd key provided the right one, and after some fumbling, Amy threw open the low white door. It was quite dark inside, for the window was small and half obscured by the crude wooden bars, and Amy could see nothing at all on the wide planked floor. The stench was beyond enduring, and before proceeding further, he had to retreat to another room and return with his lungs filled with breathable air. When he did enter, he saw something dark in the corner, and upon seeing it more clearly, he screamed outright. While he screamed, he thought a momentary cloud eclipsed the window, and a second later he felt himself brushed as if by some hateful current of vapor. Strange colors danced before his eyes, and had not a present horror numbed him, he would have thought the globule in the meteor that the geologist's hammer had shattered, and of the morbid vegetation that had sprouted in the spring. As it was, he thought only of the blasphemous monstrosity which confronted him, and which all too clearly had shared the nameless fate of young Thaddeus and the livestock. But the terrible thing about this horror was that it very slowly and perceptibly moved as it continued to crumble. Amy would give me no added particulars to this scene, but the shape in the corner did not reappear in his tale as a moving object. There are things which cannot be mentioned, and what is done in common humanity is something cruelly judged by the law. I gathered that no moving thing was left in that attic room, and to leave anything capable of motion, there would have been a deed so monstrous as to damn any accountable being to eternal torment. Anyone but a stolid farmer would have fainted or gone mad, but Amy walked conscious through that low doorway and locked the accursed secret behind him. There would be Nene to deal with now. He must be fed and tended and removed to some place where he could be cared for. Wow. What was in that room? What was in that room? If you wish to have me keep reading, please check out more of my videos. Like, subscribe, and comment down below. Thank you.